Breastie. Welcome to my boob podcast. It's really called My Breast Explant Journey. I'm Carla Marie. This is episode 5. This is a mini series about my pre and post-op journey of getting my implants removed after over 10 years. As of posting this podcast, I am 22 days away from my surgery. And if you haven't listened to the first episode, I explain why I'm doing this and why I'm evicting these implants from my body. So go back to episode 1, give them a listen. Okay, a few things before we get into today's guest. 1, rate and review this podcast, or if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a good review. It helps. And also, this podcast, the audio version, lives on the same feed as the morning show podcast. That is my day job. So give that a listen after this. It's a daily dose of audio, always under 25 minutes, gives you everything you need to start your day, Monday through Friday. It's a good time. Okay, so a few things to hit. 1, shout out to She Fit. They are a sports bra company, a bra company. They're not paying me. They're not a sponsor of this podcast. They just sent me some bras for my post-op recovery, and they were so nice. They helped me figure out the best sizes based on what size my boobs were before, how many cc's I'm taking out. They're incredible, and they actually work with other people who explant, so they know what's going on. But even if you're not explanting or taking boobs off your body, they're still amazing. I posted about them, and I had so many women be like, these are the only sports bras I've worn for 5 years. They're super adjustable. They're amazing. So She Fit, check them out. Woman-owned. They seem awesome. Also, next episode, I believe, is going to be my doctor, Dr. Rankin. I'm super excited and nervous to have him on. So if you have any questions, email me, hello@carlamarieandanthony.com. I'd love to get your question asked to him. Put boobs in the subject line and do that soon. But without further ado, let's talk about today's guest, Lisa Langley. So when I got my implants in 10 years ago, I did that in Florida as well. Different doctor, but I was nowhere near home, my family, so I stayed with my friends, Froggy and Lisa. Froggy was my coworker at Elvis Duran in the morning show. Lisa was his wife and a very good friend. And at this point, I've known them for 15 years, which is crazy. And Lisa and Froggy took care of me. I will be forever grateful. They took care of me for so many days, everything. And the cool part was that Lisa also had implants. So it made my recovery of getting implants so much easier because she knew what she was doing. Well, fast forward to 2024, and Lisa explanted as well. And we didn't plan to do this around the same time, which is nuts. We both kind of had this realization that it was something we wanted to do. And I had been asking Lisa, what are your breast implant illness symptoms? And she was like, I have none. I just want to take them out. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. I may get sick, so I want to take them out. But what happened after Lisa's surgery is pretty crazy. So meet my friend, Lisa Langley.
This is Carla Marie's Breast Explant Journey.
Lisa, my boob sister of so many years. I'm so excited you're here.
I'm excited to be here.
Okay. You were 9 weeks post-op, right? From your explant?
Yes.
At this point of recording this. How are you feeling overall?
I'm feeling great, actually. I don't have any complaints. I feel back to normal, really.
Back to normal, like as if a surgery didn't happen, is what you're saying.
Right.
That's
right.
crazy.
I know, right? I have no pain. You know, I'm just now taking care of the scars, so that's fine. But yeah, I just wearing bathing suits. You know, I do wear sunblock just to, just in case. But yeah, it's like normal again.
So
It's crazy.
you had an explant, a lift, and they took out the capsule, right?
Yes.
So you had
Yes.
all of that in 9 weeks and you're feeling great.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And he released me at 7 weeks, which I was shocked because it was supposed to be 12 weeks. So I guess things were going great.
This gives me hope.
It's quite a surprise.
Can you like lift things now? How does that work?
Yes. So for a while, it was up to 10 pounds. And then they say just be careful and do what your body tells you,
Okay.
it can do. So I'm still wary about that. Yes, that's a good point. That's the only thing I am very careful on right now.
Okay. That's what Froggy's for. For now.
Yes.
Make him
Exactly.
lift the
He can
heavy
do
things.
he can do the dirty work. I can't milk it anymore.
So 10 and a half years ago when I got my implants, you were actually the person who took me to the doctor, stayed in the hotel with me for 2 days maybe after, and then I went back to your house and you and Froggy took care of me. And there's so many people who still remember this story of just the whole process, but I feel like you've been on this journey with me since day one.
I have, and what's interesting is remember, I was actually in that room when
That's
after he had
right.
put them in. Yes, it
They
was
let you in the room.
crazy.
I don't know if you took pictures or what, but I remember him saying, "Come on
No,
in and look." And
I
that's
know.
what I want to do for somebody. I want to see what that's like.
I know, I wanna see this too, and I needed some time after it happened, but yeah, it was really cool, actually. It was quite shocking, but kinda cool.
Where you're like, okay, they look great. Keep going.
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, they're good. No bigger. We're good."
Well, and I've talked about that recently, how the morning of my surgery, because you were with me at my consult too, which I did the day before.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
morning of my surgery, I said to you, I think I'm going to go smaller. And you agreed. And I went down, I think it was 25 cc's in each breast. Thank
Right.
God. Okay. So this podcast is about you. It's not about my boobs. It's about your boobs. So how long total did you have implants in your body?
So, it was 15 years, I believe.
Wow.
Actually, 2008, 2018. Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah, that's a long time for me. That's what I was thinking. That's crazy.
So the first set you had in for how long?
So the first set I got in, they were put in 2008, and
Okay.
I had a lift, a reduction, and implants
Oh,
put
wow.
in. Yeah, it was a whole surgery. It was a big deal.
So why a reduction if you're putting implants in?
Well, what's interesting is because of, having children and things change through the years, and both of them actually were quite different in size. And, it just didn't look right. And when the doctor did it, it was like a miracle. When he put them up there, same. So I had one implant that was bigger than the other.
Like
And it
mine.
was shocking when you see it. After I saw it taken out this time, I was quite shocked. But he did a great job. And it was a 5.5 hour surgery.
That was a 5.5 hour surgery.
Yes, it was crazy. He had a lot of adjusting to do, and it was fantastic. And, it was the same now fast forwarding to this surgery. This one was 2 hours,
Wow.
and he was done.
Okay, so you had one pair in for 15 years. Were your capsules like extra gross? I don't know how to describe it. Were they harder? Because I see a lot of posts on social media of what capsules look like. So were yours extra? What is the word that they use? I don't even know.
They looked brand new,
That's
perfect condition. It was amazing. I had him video after they were out, and he cut the capsule around to show, and it was amazing. They were perfect because I was scared too, because
mhm.
I thought if I see mold or something crazy on them, I was going to panic. But no, they were perfect.
You've probably seen the horror stories of women who take them out. They're either leaking, some have mold in them, some have not a Bluetooth, maybe a chip in them. Did you know that some of them are like trackable devices?
No, I did not
Some.
know
I don't know
that.
if they make them like this anymore. There was a certain set or a certain kind where there's a little like chip in them. So who knows? I could be chipped. I have no idea.
Could be chipped.
You got yours 2008. You had saline. I got mine 2013, and I had the quote unquote gummy bear implant. They're supposed to
Yes.
feel more real, and they pitched it as it can't leak, even though, I mean, anything can open up and obviously get into your system, but it wouldn't like full blown leak out full liquid like a saline one would. But obviously yours were intact.
It was crazy. And I tell you this, 2 of the 3 doctors that I saw told me point blank, "You are gonna rupture at some point." I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, you're guaranteed you will rupture at some point in your life." And I was, like, horrified. I didn't even know, 'cause I'd never heard of that. I thought if you left him in, you left him in.
That's what's crazy,
So,
that
yeah.
there was a lot of when we were getting our implants, like, yeah, they're lifetime devices if you feel okay. And it's like, well, but apparently no, not so much. You had 2 out of 3
No,
doctors tell you they were
no.
going to rupture.
Right. And I
But
had one wanna put another set back in, and I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" I was like, "No, that's not what I want."
okay, let's talk about that consultation process, because I love that this is something you went through last year. You
Yes.
were shopping around doctors. So you don't have to
Mhm.
say their names if you don't want to, obviously, but talk about what each consult was like for you.
Well, the first one I went to, so 2 of them were in the same practice. It's a very well-known practice up here, and everybody has gone to them, and they're great as far as putting implants in.
And
First doctor, "I can put them right back in." I'm like, "No," and he was just so adamant about it, and he didn't wanna talk about the explant
I don't like
surgery. It
that.
was very interesting. So it kinda rubbed me the wrong way. So then on to a few weeks later, next doctor, I asked her, and well, let me back up. He said that you will rupture. talk to her, same thing, you will rupture, but she was okay with explant surgery. Now it's funny because they didn't wanna discuss anything as far as symptoms or BII, that wasn't even on the table, and I was like, "Okay," and so fast forward to the 3rd doctor, who was a very well-known doctor, Dr. Desai. He's with Florida Plastic Surgery Group here in Jacksonville. I love him. I went to him because he sees cancer patients all the
Mhm.
time, God bless him, and he did do one of my friend's surgeries and an amazing job, and he was all about explant. He made it sound like it was going to be easy, no problems, didn't make me worry about anything, never asked me if I wanted to put another set in. It was great.
So you mentioned BII, breast implant illness. When you were making that first decision to explant, were you feeling symptoms? Like, what was your reasoning last year to make this decision?
Well, I felt that timing, because they kept saying, 10 years, you're supposed to get them out or get them replaced, whatever you're going to do. And then I felt they were bigger than usual. I don't know if it was a weight gain or what
Mhm.
it was. And I just felt like it was time, because since they scared me into this rupture thing, I was like, well, we need to really kind of seal the decision. I just need to get them out. I don't want to be any older having to go under this surgery. It's
True.
just a one and done. And let's just go with that.
So you went into it just
But
you felt fine for like at least you were like, I don't want it to get bad. I feel okay. Let's do it
right.
now. That was your mindset. When you and I first started, I don't know why or how we both started talking about it to each other, but it was like, hey, I'm thinking of this. Hey, wait, me too. And we started
Yeah.
talking back and forth about the different things as we were both discovering this whole new world of women taking out their breast implants, which is funny because me putting in my implants, it was the same thing back and forth with Lisa. Well, did you do this? Did you do that? And now here I'm following in your footsteps again.
I actually remember where we were when we talked about that, because it was so funny, because I think you felt like you were weary to tell me, and the second you said it, I was like, "Me too." I was so
Yes.
excited. I was like, "Thank God we can go on this journey again together."
And here we are. In that moment when we were texting, I said to you right away, well, what are your symptoms? And you were like, I just want them out.
I had no symptoms, nothing. Everything was fine, and yeah, I just wanted them out.
But you got them out. And like 3 weeks after,
Yes.
what did you text me?
I texted you that, "Oh my god, all my neck and shoulder pain that I have been living with every single day, getting massages because I couldn't stand the pain, was so awful." And I was like, "Wait a second." It disappeared. And everything I went through, I even went through, it was crazy. I did everything I could to try and get rid of this pain, and honestly, it was just gone. And I was so shocked, and I was like, "Wow, that must have either been inflammation, joint pain,
Mhm.
whatever it was." And I quickly went on to check to see if that was some of the symptoms, and sure enough, there it was.
A lot of women do talk about how, I don't know if they say week 4 or 5, their body kind of reverts back for a little bit. Did any of that pain come back?
No. And interesting enough too, then it fast forward a couple weeks later, I had tendinitis in both my arms. I was going through therapy. I was trying to get rid of it. I don't understand why I even had it. And honestly, again, I was like, wait a second. And all of a sudden, it was gone. That was gone. And again, I was trying everything to get rid of it, and it was just gone. I'm like, how could this even be a thing?
And think about how much money you probably spent going to the doctor for that.
Oh my god. I immediately canceled my massage therapist the second this hit. I canceled the therapy. I'm like, this is insane." Yes, and it made me feel like I wasted all my time for that, not knowing that this was a big part of it.
So as you say
Crazy.
that, I feel like that's a good time to ask you, do you regret getting implants?
Actually, I don't. Funny you should ask that. I do not regret it. I think because everything went smooth, because it changed my life when I first got them,
Mhm.
and no, I really don't, but I would have liked to gotten them out sooner.
Okay.
I will say that, at least 5 years sooner if I could have.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's basically me then. I'm you. Thank God you did this because I'm the 5 years sooner. Who knows what could have happened? You said that they changed your life when you first got them in. So why did you get implants and how did they change your life?
Because I've had 2 kids and things tend to fluctuate over the years, my weight goes up and down, it always has all my life. They were very different in size, and it was very obvious, and it was frustrating, and I didn't know much about implants. I would have been one that would never do this, that wasn't my thing, but, the doctor was so descriptive, it was almost he was like an artist, and I was so comfortable with him, and he just did such an amazing job, and it was just so worth it. It just made me feel like a real person again, and I could wear certain bathing suits again. I could it was just crazy. I could wear certain tops that I've never been able to wear. So I don't regret it. I thought it was a great decision for sure.
Do you think so? I guess back then, I don't know if there was fat grafting. I believe that's the medical term for it. Now, what they're doing is instead of getting implants, they'll take fat from other parts of your body and put it in your boobs. Was that something like that was presented to you as an option then?
No. That was never presented to me because I probably would have gone that route because putting something in my body that was foreign was scary because
Yeah.
I didn't know how I was gonna react, and I hear about capsule contracture and all the crazy stuff, and it makes sense if you put something foreign in your body and your body reacts to it. Yeah, so it makes total sense. But honestly, after he did it, they were never really hard, which was great. They really looked real
Same.
for years.
Same.
But like I said, as time went on and they were more of a burden as time went on, and
Wow.
I just didn't wanna deal with it anymore.
Yeah, for me,
Yeah,
it's so hard because, like,
glad
for the most part, they look great, other than I'm possibly getting a little bit of a double bubble. But I look at them, I'm like, man, they look great. This makes it a little harder, but they are big, and I actually cannot wait to get them out of me. But they serve their purpose is the best way that I've
right.
described this. If you're
That's actually exactly how I just describe it. They serve their purpose. You are right.
and if your daughter came to you and was like, "Mom, I think I'm going to get breast implants," what do you say to her?
I would say do your research, really, and she kinda knew everything I went through, and she was very supportive, so it probably scared her into not getting them. I think things have changed a lot, and I don't even worry about that situation because she was there during this whole process, and I don't worry about that happening. I do worry about young girls thinking that they should go pop them in and not everything's just gone crazy. I know so many people that have had explant surgery that had breast implant illness, and that's another reason why I just started reading into it. And then they started texting me and calling me, and they're like, you really need to look into this. This is really a thing. And they were sick. It wasn't just they wanted theirs out, they were sick. And that's why that was a big part of my decision as well.
I the amount of women that have reached out to me and have been like, "I'm so excited for you. I did the same thing and I feel like a new person." I'm like, I hope this happens. Like, I hope something changes. If it doesn't, I'll still be happy. But I mean, when I tell you dozens of women just randomly DMing me like, "Oh my God, this is the best decision I ever made," or "My mom did this, best decision she ever made." I've been getting a lot of that. And there is a quote unquote, I'd say, movement towards this for even women like yourself who don't think they have symptoms to say, "I'm popping them out now before it gets bad, while I can, while I'm young or have the time or whatever, I'm going to do it." Do you
Agree.
think that that first doctor that was like, "Oh, we'll just put a new set in." Do you think doctors are, and this is obviously just your opinion, are panicking over this movement?
100%. Absolutely. This is gonna affect everything with them. Oh, without a doubt, which is kinda sad, but I guess that's just the way it is. But, oh, yeah, no, they don't wanna see this happen. This will threaten their industry, and they better figure out how to take them out too because like you said, there's definitely a movement happening for sure. And it's funny you said that because a lot in my DMs when I posted that, a lot of women were like, "I'm scared to do this. I can't believe you did it. I've had them in longer than I've had them in." And it's sad because I keep telling them, you should, I can't make your decision, but I can tell you that it worked well for me
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of other women. And I read it online on those Facebook pages that everybody's thrilled. And I feel like it's just a lift. Just it's just amazing. It just.
I'm glad you brought up the Facebook group. We've talked about it in pretty much every episode. And I always feel like a little tin hat being like, "Yeah, but in my Facebook group, this is what they're saying." But that group is so incredible. And no one's giving medical advice. It's just women saying, "This is how I felt. This is what I did. This is what I'm going through. Talk to your doctor." It is very straightforward. It is such a positive place. And I love it. And I always mention, I linked it in the description of this podcast. You can always find the Facebook group, whether you have implants or not. I recommend joining so that you can be the voice of, reason or knowledge for other women in your life. But Lisa, I see you in there liking my posts sometimes when I ask questions.
I know, I love it. I'm like, you are so into it, and I can tell. And it was, like you said, it was so informative. And my friend that had cancer, she said, you need to follow this site. So I started following it, and it just everything from down to bras everybody's wearing now, being scared before their surgery. Everybody's so supportive, when they're in the comment section there, you can do it. And
Yeah.
it's just so uplifting for women to see this. And I think it's amazing because I've been going on there looking at bandages and how long
Yes.
did you do this and what sunblock and what gel did you use for scars. So it's very, very informative. I think it's great. And I loved that you jumped in on this too.
While I have you, I'm going to actually ask your opinion on something. I am going back and forth on getting a lift. My doctor told me he would make the decision for me if that's what I want to do when I'm under, because he said I may not need a lift. So he would make the decision and whatever. But I've been doing some research into the fact that I may have kids. I don't have kids. Is it worth it getting a lift? And can you still breastfeed and all of this? So as a mom who has had breast implants, has had them removed, and has had a lift, what are your thoughts?
I would say probably hold off on the lift because let everything go natural. Let it all flow. I think you'll be fine anyway. And you might be surprised because as young as you are and as perky as you probably still are, I would not do it. And then here's the thing sometime later in your life, you can just go get a lift.
It's
It's no
true.
big deal.
In a future episode, I'm going to have my boyfriend, Anthony, who you know very well, on here because I want to get
I
all of
do.
his thoughts on if he's actually scared, to have his girlfriend go through something like this. But your husband, Froggy, who is like my brother, how has he been through this explant process? Because he's gotten to have these boobs for 15 years. So how has it been for him?
It's been good. He was such a help. You remember when you got
He's
yours
so good.
put in and he was like a doctor. It was so funny. But he's been very supportive. He knew and he literally said, I am there for whatever you need. If you're not feeling good about yourself, if you want him out, and he said, I would rather you do it now than wait till you're older for
Right.
sure. And he was all in, never hesitant. He was a great support for sure.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Like I'm glowing right now because I'm just like, I can't wait. It's so soon for me. I can't wait for this to be my turn now. And I feel like you are also
Right.
glowing. Like other than the pain being gone, do you feel like you're just, I don't know, like mentally lighter?
Oh, yeah, for sure, and what's interesting too, everybody kept saying, "Oh, you gotta get new clothes, you gotta get new clothes." Actually, I didn't because now I fit in a lot of tops that I've already had, and I was like, "You know what? That was great." I loved that fact. I do feel good. I actually feel proud because they're not as big as they were before, and I feel like a different person. It's really, really different. I feel normal, like I haven't felt because remember before the implants when they were different sizes and I was battling that for years, then the implants were great for a few years, and now I feel natural again, and it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I would highly recommend
Isn't
it.
it crazy that you just said, yes, you're happy, I'm natural, I feel normal, and you have smaller boobs? Like who would have thought?
Amen, sister. I know. Nobody, everybody's like smaller boobs. I think it's the greatest thing ever. I love this. It's so proportionate to my size now. And it's just so different when I look at things. And it was so many years I was embarrassed. I was like, oh, those boobs are so big. And I'm only 5'1". I don't need this. And it just kept just building and building. Finally, I was like, yes, they're gone.
I had this conversation with Lala about how there was just something that happened like as we got a little bit older. It was like, I don't need to have my boobs out. I can, but something feels strange about squeezing my boobs together and having them out and about and be like these big things. And I don't know, did you have that same mindset switch too as you got older?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny because when we were younger and had them, I was okay with having them out,
Yeah.
just pushed up a little. I actually didn't have to push them up. They were there. And yours too, because I remember that. They looked great. Everything was wonderful. We did it. We were a team. But yeah, so now just being, natural and just, still having some fullness because I did a lift, of course. But I would, like I said, reverting back to you, I would probably hold off on the lift. That's my opinion
Okay.
for sure.
Damn. Well, you know what? That easier recovery too, which is great. I'm excited about that than if I don't do the lift.
Yep.
Um, where do you stand on implants just being available? Like, do you think they should be taken off the market? Where do you stand on that?
I don't think so. I just think women should educate themselves more in making the decision than running and just doing something like this. Probably wish I would have educated myself a little bit more on some of the risks. I know that breast implant illness was not a big talk back then, but now that it's so out and in your face right now, that I'm hoping, these girls would do some research. Just be smart about it because you don't know how your body's going to take to it.
When it's funny you say that because it definitely wasn't a thing when you got yours in, and it certainly wasn't really when I got mine in. I From what I hear and see
Yeah.
in all of
No.
the records, I even was reading like the FDA ruling on some of the how implants need to be presented to someone getting them now. They're supposed to tell you it's a black box label, all of that stuff. 2016 is the first time that I can really see any of this happening. But when I first posted, hey, I'm getting my implants out, doing a podcast, this is how I feel, there was a woman commented that said, oh my God, now I'm scared. I just got mine 2 weeks ago. And I was like, girl, I was Googling
Oh,
like bad things about implants, everything I could when I was getting mine in, like every possible Google search. And I wasn't finding anything other than, oh, one could fall, whatever. Like there wasn't the types of cancer, none
right.
of that. Like you said, educate yourself on everything that you do now when it comes to your body.
And one more thing I thought was very interesting, and I can't believe I never even thought of this, was when you get a mammogram, you may not see anything behind them. And I did not know that. It makes sense. It makes total sense.
I haven't had a mammogram
Yeah.
yet, but I've heard women say that they believe their implants ruptured during a mammogram.
I think that's very rare. I gotta
Okay.
be honest with you, I've never met anybody that's happened to. I imagine it could, but I just think if you know who I don't think so.
Okay.
I again, anything can happen, but I never worried about that. I just do wanna tell you that they will take more pictures, which is good because they wanna separate the implant, look behind the nipple, and be able to see if there's anything there. It's no big deal. I mean, maybe I take pain a little bit better, but it's not a big deal. But
Okay.
it's definitely I think you need to definitely consider that before you get your surgery.
Is there anything else you want to say while you're here? Because I feel like I'm going to have a million more questions and I'm just going to start texting you. But I guess final thoughts. The floor is yours on implants and explanting. What do you have to say?
I will say one more thing. I know everybody's going back and forth about the gels that you use for your scars, and
Okay.
they're panicking because some have silicone in it. I'm not scared of that. I am using that gel. The doctors recommended it. I know some people aren't for it, and I get it because you're taking silicone out,
Right.
but I'm still using it and I'm seeing progress. So that's one thing. As far as my opinion on implants, I would say do your research. I would say definitely look up breast implant illness. I would just be aware of all the options. It doesn't have to scare you out of it, but you better be aware of it because you start feeling symptoms, you got to get them out. And like I said, it's just such a wide variety of symptoms that just blew my mind. My friends were telling me all the stuff they've gone through, but to each his own. Like I said, I don't regret getting them in. I thank God that when I got them out, they were okay because that's the one thing I wanted to see was what they looked like. But if you start feeling some weirdness that you've never felt before and people can't trace to what it is, I mean,
Lisa, thank you. And I'll see you
yeah.
in a few weeks, I guess.
Yes. Yes, you will. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast and to Lisa's story. And just a reminder, if you have implants, this isn't made to scare you, it's to educate you. This is information I wish I knew years ago, information that I know a lot of women wish they had so they didn't waste all their money on doctors or being gaslit by them. So if you're not feeling great and you don't have answers, maybe this is it. Yeah, again, I'm not a doctor, just want to give you as much information as I think you should have, which is all of it. Don't forget, rate and review this podcast. Listen to the Morning Show podcast. What else? Oh, check out the Carla Marie and Anthony Show live on YouTube. And email me if you have any questions for Dr. Rankin. It's hello@carlamarieandanthony.com. That is my plastic surgeon, and he will be on my next episode. And at the end of each episode, I've been looking for something to say boob related as like a goodbye. I said ta-ta for now. And that was last week. And Henry reached out to me and he said, instead of peace out, why don't you say boobs out? And I love it. Get it? Because literally boobs out. So thank you, Henry. Boobs out, Breastie.